as we load into game number 1. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of El Dorado, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Vitality. It is Ryung. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the other South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Kior. Go. Catching up with the chat. Levy S2 seems watch you quite often, and to be honest, you are not appreciated enough. Oh, thank you, Bobby. Thank you. We appreciate. I appreciate your kind words. I appreciate it. Thank you. We've been on that grind. We've been on that grind for many years at this point. We do our best. We do our best. Fun facts. I mentioned this yesterday. I'll mention it again because it's worth mentioning. We reached 1 million views. We reached 1 million views on YouTube. It took, I think, like 7 years, I think. But we got the quantity back. We got the quantity. We reached 1 million views on YouTube, which is a great milestone. Just through sheer hard work and effort. I think like the most amount of views we have on a video is like a couple of thousand, like maybe 5,000 views or something. Like on our most viewed video. It's just because we upload like 15 videos a day or something. Like we upload a lot of content because we cast a lot, and yeah, just over time we got there, Pappy. We got there. Let's go. But our YouTube has been getting a lot more traction as of late because we dual stream. We dual stream on YouTube as well, so we have been getting a lot more attention because of our live streams on YouTube, and that bleeds over into our VODs. So that's nice to see. When it comes to our Twitch has also been growing as well. Has been slowly growing over time. So we do appreciate all the support that we get on Twitch as well. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Cool. As we are settling in. And so far we have double gas opener out of Ryung, likewise economic opener out of Cure. It's going to be a Rax expand out of our Blue Terran player. Here we go. So economic out of our Blue Terran, more aggressive here out of Ryung. And we'll see what this does lead into. This could lead into a more committed Reaper Hellion, for example. Could lead into an earlier Banshee. Banshee play is not uncommon in TvT. Earlier tank production. Into an early tank drop. We'll see what you got. So now we have our initial 2 Reapers. Ryung going for the later expansion. YouTube millionaire. Kappa. No. Nothing puts me at ease without Pappy's angelic voice. Much love. Este pecoeta. Calm down. Oh, as hello, we don't see this too often here, but it's going to be a double gas opener into a 2-1-1. That is a second Rax on the way for Ryung into, I would imagine, a Starport into a 2-1-1 opener. But that is not an add-on swap. Going Cyclone first. We're cooking. let him cook, Pappy. Let him cook. Really interesting build here by Ryung and a very delayed Starport. So this is going to be quite committed from our Red Terran player. Meanwhile, across the map, Kira just getting into his own standard 1-1-1 opener, safety Cyclone into a medevac to go for a drop across the map. But really, it's this build from Ryung which I'm most curious by. As there we go, now going for the Starport. Okay, there it is. Cyclone into an add-on swap into Stim. Now this should be a 16 Marine Stim timing, but there's a bit of a twist to it because there are some Cyclones in the mix, there are some Reapers in the mix as well. It is going to hit a little bit later, but it can hit a little bit harder as well. This is a build that is usually reserved for Zerg players. It's usually a build in ZVT, rarely seen in TvT. And we'll see how this does. Now, the downside of this build, as you can imagine, because we're going for another add-on swap, the factory is mainly making add-ons. The factory is making the tech lab, factory is making the reactor for the Starport as well, and this means that Ryung is behind in tanks. And TvT is usually all about tank play. Like, he's behind in tanks, he's going to be behind in Ravens as well, but he's going to be up in Stim Marines. As Kyrhi does, threaten a drop. Spots the heavy Marine counts. That is a tell. You can see Ryung trying to bait the medevac in. Here come the Cyclones, go for the lock-on. But only one. Only one Cyclone locks on, the medevac does escape, and Kira gets away. Here he does get away. Ooh, rushing into a third CC. Being quite greedy, actually. Third CC for Cure. Tank production has begun. And again, Cure, he's going to be up in tanks, up in Ravens. He's going to be up in CCs as well. And Ryung, he has to do damage with this. He has to get damage done. Here he has eyes on Zelnaga. He spots the army, at least some of it. And we're waiting for the medevacs. We're waiting for these 2 medevacs from Ryung. And he needs to pop off, otherwise he will just fall behind. We go. As we have a third CC on the way for Ryung. Medevacs have arrived, and here comes the double drop. Going to be 15 Marines. 15 Marines. They have Stim, of course. Making their way towards the main. Here, his army is focused and centered here at the natural. Cyclones are back at him to defend. And Ryung can maybe deny some add-ons. He can maybe go for Stim. He can maybe go for the reactor. There is potential here. Dropping the main, going for the depot, and this does give time for the blue Terran to respond. Here he rotates. Ryung, he goes for the add-on. He will get it. Oh no! Barely does get it. Takes a massive tank shot to the face. Will get away, but that costs Ryung a lot of Marines. A lot of Marines did go down. Does at least delay Stim. Tank is in position, and Cure holds. He does hold. Ryung back at home, throwing down extra Raxes, being very bio-heavy, of course, getting into combat shields. Is getting into combat shields, just massing up his army, takes control of the Zelnaga. Cure back at home, still secure on 2 bases, has yet to expand and get his third. Is up, but has yet to really land on location. As Ravens are gathering energy. And Cure, he will eventually break out. And when he does, I am concerned that Ryung won't be able to stop him. I'll be honest. Like, this is a terrifying army. He's got triple Raven. Gonna have tanks, of course. He has disables available as well. Ryung, he attempts to expand towards his opponent. Thankfully, there is an army back at home. Cure going for the mineral line, going for the mules. Oh, he gets shot down, but does force some friendly fire, and 1 mule does fall. Picks off a mule. Cure being forced back. Likewise, Cure going to be expanding also towards Ryung. The rush distance by ground is going to be very short. Bear that in mind. It's going to be quite short here. Behind this Ryung just hyper-fixated on just building up his tanks. Cyclones towards the north. He's going for the CC, but the tank is in position. Cure's holding. Ryung denied entry into the main. Cure landing his third. Going for his own drop across the map, is not going to be able to get in. Maybe getting 1 SCV. And gets 1 worker. Not much more than that. And we're waiting for that move out. 2-2 is faster for Cure. Meanwhile, Ryung, he shouldn't get the command center. Does threaten it. Tanks getting position. Likewise, Cure's tanks are still a little bit further behind. Here we go, the armies that will clash. Cure a little bit later, Siege, but again, he has a plenty of Ravens, plenty of Order Towers, and disables. Gets 1. Yeah, mass anti-armor missile. And you can see just how dominant the Terran complete with those Ravens. Just completely shuts out Ryung. 1 Raven goes down. There's 2 left. There's still 2 Ravens left. Here come the disables. He gets 1, he gets 2, he gets 3. And the tanks, they do nothing. The tank count gets completely reset. And again, this is also why you don't often see 2-on-1s. Like, the Ravens just had so much more complexity, so much more utility to Cure's army. And he can just bully Ryung back. Oh, nice. Loco gets a Raven. Massive pickup. There's 1 Raven left. 1 Raven remaining. Curie stims in. The tanks are exposed. The boys are being pulled, but it might just be too late. Oh, Curie pulls away. Massive tank shots. Ryung getting on top of the tanks. He gets 1, he gets 2. He's going to get all 3. Not bad. Ryung, he breaks out, resets the tank count, he holds. He barely holds on. Did cost him some SCVs. Ryung, he's down 10 workers. But he still has his third base. Now getting saturated. Ryung, I believe he also caught the Raven. Yep, he reset the Raven count. And we're back in this. We are back in this. Checking the main armies here. Ryung is now up in tanks. 4 tanks to 2. But we do have 2-2 finishing up faster for Cure. So Cure, his bio army is going to be stronger. But Ryung has more tanks. Does have more tanks. Moving out. These tanks, they are setting up. Ryung hoping to get within range. So we are cutting the map in half. We are splitting it in 2. Cure getting a 4th CC, so is Ryung. Ryung's is later. And 2-2 is now done for Cure. So Ryung, he's trying to stabilize. Slowly pushing forward. So he can't quite break through. Oh, the classic TvT siege lines. This cannot be crossed. Who flinches first? As Ryung, he's slowly trying to get... Oh no! Trying to be cheeky. Tank shot's gonna be going up. Yeah, tank is gonna go down. Ryung, he stims in. Takes down the tank. Oh, and he's gonna commit. Does commit to the dive. Takes down every single tank. Barely. And he does have that concave. From here, he has to pull back, though, to the safety of his tanks. As Ryung, he's losing this marine fight. It does lose the fight. Here he breaks through, gets on top of the tanks, takes one of them down. He gets one. Ooh. And he's going to be able to pick off the other as well. Yeah, Curie snowballing out of control. Ryung, he plummets in supply. Initially, the fight was going okay for Ryung when he reset the tank count, but he kept fighting. He just kept fighting, out of range of his tanks. Bled out far too much. A little bit misjudged there from Ryung. And now Cure, he's up 50 supply. Jesus. He's up heavily. I mean, it helps he has the gold, of course. The 4th base is already up and running. The gold is saturated. And Cure, he is skyrocketing ahead. Ryung going for the vertical expand. Taking another base. Ryung's at least expanding quite freely here, but Kira's going to be the first to max. And with a maxed out army, he can afford to be inefficient and just stim in. Just stim in, just dive on the tanks. Even trade inefficiently, but still be worth it for Cure. As he's waiting for 3-3. Plus 3 attack is almost done. Liberators have arrived. He has freedom! And Ryung has no answer. Here comes the stim. Shuts down one of the tanks. There's still 2 more behind this. Cure overextending, he has to pull away. He has to pull back to the safety of his tanks. Sieging forward. 3rd base is going to be denied. There's no saving this expansion for Ryung. He has to pull away. He pulls away at the last second. And that's going to cost him the base. No shot. The CC goes down. There's no saving it. Massive pickoff. And Ryung is now stuck on 3 bases. Stuck on a 3-base economy. Against 4, one of which is a gold. Ryung going for a massive backstab. But it might just be too late. As Cure, he's pushing through. He's already maxed. He's getting to max out. Marines hit the natural. Cure, he does a turn back around. Trying to race back home. Oh, the miss rally. No. Ryung, he rallies in. And there's no stopping Cure. There's no stopping him. He has so many tanks. GG gets called, and Cure, he will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. An interesting opener out of Ryung. I can see the logic behind it. Again, the map El Dorado is a short rush distance by air, so going for a 2-on-1 on the one hand kind of makes sense, but it is very difficult to make this build work. As we saw, Ryung, he fell behind in multiple aspects. We saw the power of the Raven. Curie was able to take some better fights, but I should give credit to Ryung, of course, because despite the rough start, he did bounce back, and we had more of a back and forth. We had an even trade, and we did have Ryung taking some better fights, some better engagements. He was able to bounce back in that game. In the end, he was overwhelmed because, of course, Kira got a fourth, and Ryung never really did. He never really got a fourth base fully operational. When he expanded towards the north side, he was already losing bases towards the south, so not quite the same. And yeah, Kira, with that, he got away with the goal base, snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. Kira takes a lead in the series, and now we are going to be following our two players here into game number 2. It's going to be Ryung's map of choice, and this should not be a surprise to you. Game 2 is going to be on Neon Violet Square. Oh boy. The largest map in the map pool. Let's go. It's going to be the largest map here, of course. Ryung, he's known for his late game. He's known for slowing the game down. That is where Ryung's strengths lie, and I'm sure that's where he wants to take this. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Neon Violet Square, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Team Vitality. It is Ryung. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Liquid. It is Kyor. Good thing Spirit isn't playing right now. It used to be 40-minute game. You're not wrong. No. Imagine, best of 5, Ryung versus Spirits. We're going to be there for hours, papi. Hours. Ay. But here we go. We are settling in. And again, Ryung, he is known for slowing the game down and trying to force a more positional-based play style. We didn't get to see that in game 1, but I'm sure we're going to head there here in game number 2. It's going to be instead on Kure, I'm sure, to try and deny that, to try to punish that, to try to be more active and break Ryung before he can turtle up. We'll see if he can. We will see. As a reminder, last game we did have a double gas opener into a 2-on-1. We should not be seeing that here from Ryung, especially not on a larger map like Neon Violet Square. As he moves out with an SCV scout, this is a rarity in TvT. Interesting. I mean, it's possible that because Kira is ahead, because he has a lead, then potentially Ryung feels it necessary to scout and maybe a little bit concerned about an all-in. Maybe a little bit of concern about a cheese, I should say, or a proxy. As Kira is going for an economic opener, so is Ryung, and Ryung, he confirms. He confirms the timing of the CC. So Ryung is fully aware. As he pulls back. And again, this is our final series here of the quarterfinals. We've been live for coming up in 4 hours. Let's go. Coming up on 4 hours. I mean, technically, we did start 45 minutes late because of all the tech issues. And of course, the stream did go down in halfway through as well. But we're here for it. Let's go. Last week, OlimoLeague was 8 hours, by the way. And I'm hoping that we're not going to be here for 8 hours, but most likely like 6 to 7. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Let's go. I mean, if we get more TvTs, we could reach 8 hours once again. It's possible. It's possible. As for now, Ryung pulling back. Does pull back, getting to his factory. Likewise, so is Kure. Kure rushing to a third CC. Again, this is something unique to Neon Violet Square, but Neon Violet Square, it's a game of greed. It's a very different kind of dynamic here. It's all about rushing into greed. Third CC on location, and Ryung doing the same a little bit later, but still also on location, still before the starport. So very economic builds here from both players. Kure goes to the dive, gets a Marine, but will trade a Marine for a Reaper. And Kure backs up. Does back off from here. Does pull away. From here, our players can calm down. And it shouldn't just stop at a fast third base. We should be seeing fast fourth bases as well. Not yet. It would be insane to third and a fourth base at this timing, but once we get into our proper 3cc setup here, sorry, 3 rack setup, I should say, then we can afford a 4th cc. We can get there. As we are settling in to a longer game state. Do have a safety cyclone on the way from Ryung. Safety cyclone into Tech Lab on the starport. Okay, I mean, this should just lead into Ravens, into Tank Raven production. Likewise, Cure should be doing the same. There we go. We have Macfield accelerators. We have Interference Matrix being researched. Is being researched here for Cure, and even going for a Viking first as well. Meanwhile, we're committing quite heavily here into these Hellions. We have another set of 2 Hellions on the way. This I'm not so certain of here. We have 6 Hellions out of Cure, and with this, he has a lot of dive potential. I mean, the goal should be to rush past the army, get into a mineral line, and this would be a very, very strong way of trying to punish a player that's been cutting corners. But there is a tank on the way. With the arrival of the tank, we should be okay. But Cure, he's making it up! No! Second factory is thrown down. That's what I was concerned by, and we are making it happen here. And Ryung, does he keep up? Does he do the same? But now we have some Marines for safety, but we could always see a second factory. Yep, there it is. Double armory. It's mech versus mech. Let's go. Double armory by Ryung and mass factory here by Cure. Let's go. They're harnessing their inner spirit. The spirits inside them. Aye. So we have a 3 factory setup here. Now the double armory is very greedy here by Ryung, as he's going to be rushing into better upgrades. That is true. He's going to be foregoing his production in favor of the better upgrades. So we do have 2 very different forms of mech, where Ryung is being greedy in his mech, and Cure, he's being more aggressive here, or at least he's focusing and fixating on building up a stronger army initially. We'll see if he can do anything with it. We'll see if this is worth it or not for Cure. As Ravens have amassed, Ryung, I believe he only has the 1. No, 2. Okay, he's got 2 Ravens, thankfully. Cure is the first to move out. Again, he's got a massive amount of Hellions. Here, checking the low ground, there is only 1 tank to defend. We have auto charges as well, but there is so much potential here for this army to get into the mineral line. And now he's distracted. Now is distracted. Going to be forced back. Diving in the army. Nice surround here. The Cyclone is going to fall, but at least Ryung, he scouts. He sees everything. He sees the mass amount of Hellions. They should be getting ready here at the natural. Second tank moving down. There is no Sim City. There's no wall, but with 2 tanks, we should be okay. 4th CC in production. Let's go. 4th CC for Ryung. Hellions, they don't quite commit. Not yet. But we're going to be here for a while. Going to be here for a while as Cure, he has map control. He has map control. Ryung, he's just expanding. Again, fixated on faster upgrades, being quite greedy. Cure, he's being the aggressor, though. Moving out once again. Should be expanding behind this, going for the 4th CC here at the center expansion. And here comes the army. Here come the tanks. What does he have to work with? Even tank count, even Raven count. We have more Vikings for Cure. But I'll be honest, I don't really see him breaking this location, but I do see him containing Ryung and denying the 4th. That I can see. As Ryung, he attempts to break out, Alas, Cure is in position. Again, it's all about containing Ryung and denying the 4th. As Cure should be expanding. There we go. 4 CCs on the way. We have Blue Flame and Macfield accelerators here for Ryung. Cure has yet to commit into any kind of battle mech upgrades. Cure instead just focusing on tanks and Vikings. Just straight up tank Viking production. Knocking down those rooks. Ryung, he will expand. Expanding here on the right hand side. Going for the vertical 4th. Scan reveals the base. Cure, he's going to be pushing in. Hellions are scouted. Kira, as soon as he gets scouted, he rotates. Ryung trying to set up. Kira, he has a massive tank lead. He's got 12 tanks. That's a lot of tanks. Ooh. Tank boys going up, disabling the first tank. But here come the counter disables. Yeah, 4 tanks are disabled. Auto charges get thrown down. And Ryung, so far, he's holding, but there's still so many more tanks behind this. Auto charges go down. The Vikings get bullied back. Kira here has air control. He maintains that air control. It's one of those things where Ryung has been investing in Blue Flame, Macville accelerators, 2 upgrades with double armory, whereas Kira, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about any upgrades. He has 0-0, just mass tank. Mass tank, mass Viking. And Kiri's just trying to brute force his way through. He's gaining ground. Takes down the gas geyser. Trying to get within range. At the same time, Ryung going for a counterattack instead, going for the 4th CC. Hoping to distract a Cure. Cure takes down a Viking. Aliens get spotted. Ryung does get behind the mineral line. This is not a planetary, it's an orbital. SCVs are going down. Not bad. But Kira, he doesn't flinch, doesn't turn around. He's still committed. He's still committed here. So Hellion comes back. Looking at the army, is still 13 tanks to 7. Ryung going for a counterattack, doing whatever he can with this Hellion Cyclone. And Kiri's going to knock down this base. The Vikings, they land. They shut down the SCVs. The boys are being pulled. The boys evaporate. The tanks as well as Kiri breaks through the front line. Gets us up with the CC. At the same time, though, Ryung, he takes down the 4th. Ryung, who will trade his 3rd, 4th base. SCVs going down. The CC should fall as well to the Cyclones. And there's not much of them to defend. Uh-oh. Yeah, the Vikings, they land. He takes down the tank. The boys are being pulled into the Vikings. And Ryung, he's pulling this off. Going for the base trade. Kira trying to push in. Boys are being pulled to hold on to just buy time. And Ryung is going for the main. There's 1 tank behind this. Can he break through? He needs a tank. GG gets called. And Ryung, he ties up the series. We are going to the ace match. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. A very, very tense game state. Cure his main army. I mean, Ryung could not fight it. He could not fight the main army, so he just avoids it entirely, goes for a massive counterattack instead. He forces the base trade, and with that, GG. GG, well played. We're going to the ace match. We're going to game 3. Oh my god. Oh, and again, Cure doing a great job when it came to at least maintaining his position, pushing in towards the 3rd base, but he did not take the run by seriously enough. Did not stay back at home with anything. And with that, Ryung took a lead. Or fights back. Does fight back. And now we're going to the ace match. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Frostline, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the other South Korean Terran player. We have the Blue Terran representing Team Vitality. It is Ryung. And thank you so much, Dusteru in the chat. Thank you so much for the 100 bits. We hope you appreciate the content. Hope you enjoy the StarCraft, the casting, the content that we have here on the channel. Thank you so much. And welcome, of course, to welcome to the final game of the series, the final game of the quarterfinals. Oh boy, we're here to determine who does advance on to face off against Zaun in the semis, as Cure, he's committed to a proxy 2-racks. As a reminder, this was Cure's map of choice, and we are cheesing it up. It's going to be proxy 2-racks Mass Reaper here, and Ryung, how does he open? If Ryung opens up economically, if he's opening up 1 gas into a faster CC, then Ryung is going to be vulnerable. If Ryung opens up double gas into a faster factory, then he will have access to a faster Hellion, and he can defend. For now, though, looks like an economic opener, and it makes sense. Welcome to Frostline. Frostline is one of the largest maps in the map pool, so it is common to open up in an economic way, which is why Cure is going for this. So Curie takes a chance, and so far it's working out well. Now, this isn't an auto win by any means, but Ryung, if he doesn't scout, if he doesn't realize what's happening, and if he gets a late reaction, then he will just die. basically what happens here is that Ryung, he cannot lose the Reaper. He has to save the Reaper, and he does so by pulling the boys. He has to pull the boys, he has to help support, help try to buffer for his Reaper, buy time for his second Reaper, buy time for his Hellion, but we'll see if he can. As there it is, CC into Factory. Again, economic build here by Ryung. Now, a win condition for Cure is either kill the Reaper or deny the Factory. If he kills this building SCV, and if the Factory never finishes, then that's just game. That's just game then and there. As we can see, thankfully, Ryung throwing down a spotter depot. So Ryung, he doesn't scout. He doesn't scout, but he is getting some vision here. And there we go, he does confirm. Reapers, they dip in. Factory's on the way. Boys are being pulled. And we'll see how many losses Ryung does sustain. So far, just buying time. Factory, it should finish. SCVs are getting low. Ryung, he does pull away. So far, just losing one worker. He will lose a second SCV. Second SCV goes down. See more boys looking to be pulled to repair, at least to help themselves. The supply block! No! Oh, he has supply block. That is brutal. The bunker didn't finish. Sorry, Depot didn't finish. The Depot did not finish. Oh my god, that might just be game. Workers doing now left and right. More Reapers have arrived. And again, the Hellion is heavily delayed here for Ryung. The Depot never finished. Ay, ay, ay. Does break out, thankfully, with the completion of the CC. CC does complete. Hellion's on the way, and Ryung should hold. But this is still a lot of damage. As Ryung is pulling back to mine from his main. Whew, and now we can calm things down and settle in. Ryung, he's denied the natural. Back at home, Cure, he expands. And now we can work towards a longer game state. And who do we favor here? I mean, Cure, he has a better economy, 100%. He has a better economy at the moment. There are still so many SVs that are not mining, that are still here with the main army. Meanwhile, Cure, he's going for the depot. And the depot's going to go down. Oof. Massive pickup. Depot does fall. Cure, he's going to rotate. Let's rotate over. Once again, just containing Ryung on one base. Ryung, he will eventually break out, but it's going to take a long time. By the time he does, Curie should be secure back at home, getting to his own Cyclone production. Raxes are floating back home as well. Reactors on the way. Meanwhile, Ryung going for the tech lab on the starport. I'm curious if now is the time to go for a Banshee. I mean, he has to bounce back in some way. Needs some kind of counter damage. As KDA charges are being thrown down. There we go. Ryung, he finally does try to break out, and he will. He will force back the army. Now he can expand. Now he can take his natural. At least he's trying to. He's trying to. Let him expand. Oof. Another ring gets picked off. Reapers, they dive into the main. Ryung is out of position. And SCVs are going down. Workers, he can't afford to lose. The Cyclone as well, under fire. Locon gets broken. And he gets, what, 7, 8 SCV kills. Does he get 9? Not quite. But 8 workers do go down. Cure, he's up 14 SCVs. Third TC's on the... He's crazy. He doesn't need it. Third TC's on the way. Cure just getting further ahead. It is risky to throw down the third base at this timing, I would say. But, I mean, sure, he's just going for it anyway. Why not? Ryung is contained. Ryung, he has no stim. He has no medevacs. He has a Raven. He has a tank. Doesn't really have much to threaten Cure. And Cure can do whatever he wants at this point. Getting to tank production, getting to more Vikings. This can turn into mech, of course, once again. Or can just stick with bio. And how does Ryung bounce back from here? Well, there's a couple of options. There's not many. If he had opened up a Banshee, then maybe. But as we saw, it was a Raven opener, not Banshee. So Banshee Harass is not really available here to Ryung. The other option would have been to have gone into a medevac, to go for a medevac and go for a drop across the map. But as we can see here, again, it was Raven into Vikings, so there's no drop play available either. Raven is moving out for some auto harass. And in this situation, I would say the best option for Ryung is a 2-base all-in. I think that is the best option here. Just to set up and pull the boys and just go for an all-in, because macroing from here, it's not going to happen. No shot. As Ryung is too far behind. Scan reveals the 1-1-1 setup. There is no second starport. Ryung moves out, so the tanks are ready. As Ryung is rotating. Does rotate over. Oh, catching the lib. Liberator goes down. Nice pick off. Liberator does fall. Ryung rotating over towards the natural. Cure getting a third. Getting a third base. Landing on location. Again, Cure just getting further ahead. The army supply of Ryung is quite high, so he could try to take a fight here. But again, it's all or nothing for Ryung. Ryung, he doesn't have disables, but he does have an auto turret, and here we go. This is it. It's time. Raven goes down. Tanks are free siege. The Vikings land, and there's no breaking this. Yeah, Cure, he holds. He shuts down the army. Breaks through the Marines, breaks through the tanks. GG. Oh, Ryung, he's asking, yo, you want to regame? GG gets called, and Cure, he takes the series at 2-1. GG. I appreciate this. I'm pretty sure Ryung is like, yo, do you want to regame game 3, baby? He's like, nah. GG. Love to see it, and Cure, he will advance on to the semi-finals. Congratulations here. Oh boy, and with that we have our Terran player confirmed as we head on over here to the bracket to catch up on the entirety of the round of 8. Let's go. Let us go. Again, it's been an intense broadcast already. It's been quite long. We've reached the 4-hour mark, and we have wrapped up the round 16. We've wrapped up the quarterfinals, and we have our top 4. We have our top 4 remaining players here. From the top, we have a Hero. We have Hero, of course. We casted his matches earlier. I do recommend the VODs if you missed out on them. There's been a lot of TVPs tonight, but he had an amazing series against Gumiho, against Nickrat as well. Is now up against Creator in the semi-finals. Up next is going to be Hero versus Creator in a PvP. We have 1 Protoss confirmed for the finals. Meanwhile, in the lower semi-finals, we have Zaun and Cure facing off in a Terran versus Protoss matchup. Here we go. As thankfully towards the end we did have a couple of ace matches. Zaun and Rex, Ryung and Cure did go all the way to game 3, so we did have some back and forth. Outside of that, the round of 16 was very one-sided. A lot of 2-0s, a lot of 2-0s, a lot of 2-0s, time and time again. But now we've reached our top 4. We're going to be going on a small break. We're going to be going on a small break here. When we come back, we're going to have the semifinals and the grand finals ahead of us. We have 3 series remaining, 2 best of 3s and a best of 5. Here we go as we look to conclude this week's OlimoLeague. Up next, the PvP, Hero versus Creator. Take this time to drain your disruptors, massage your Marines, tuck in your Tempest. What did the chat say earlier? Unload your Ultralisks, and what was the other one? Wash your Widowmines. So we'll see you guys soon after the break.